Welcome to Life in the Music Business, a masterclass with Professor Pooch and your host, BACEFACE.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Life in the Music Business with Professor Pooch. How you doing tonight, Pooch?
I'm doing fine. And I'll just continue on with what we're talking about. Yeah,
Cool.
it's just you got to have some ambition in life. What helps ambition is purpose. You need a purpose. See, like with me, I like helping people. So I want to have, I do what I like to do, but I make enough money, of course, to survive. I mean, I tell people, hey, Pooch has got to eat too, like that.
Of course.
But it's just amazing how people get jealous of other people. They're envious. These are, by the way, on the scale of enlightenment and the scale of really bad vibes are envy, jealousy, guilt, shame, things like that. They are so low. And if you always feel that way, those people that are talking down to you and stuff means they got low vibes. They're only going to attract people, they're going to look for higher ends and things, but they're going to be attracting the same people
Yeah,
at
and
their vibe.
that's when the life becomes redundant and everything just is unfulfilled because you are always sitting there looking for something to like an external force to get you up off of your ass and get you moving when everything that you need is inside of you and you are everything you need to be and have everything you need to have to be able to be successful at this current moment.
Yep. And people think like a video game, I guess. They get used to playing a lot of video games. Oh, this is easy. I'm just going to pull out my, whatever, and
Yeah,
take
cheat
over the
code.
world. It
Yeah.
takes effort. Look, it's like I tell people, I have my, 3-step plan. We've talked about it several times here. But I mean, I can give them the whole plan of action and stuff like that very inexpensively. At the same point in time, there's two things I can't give them, and that is talent, okay,
Hmm.
and effort. The people that work with me who put the effort into it make money. The people that don't put the effort into it don't. It's that simple. You know, you have to be, just as diligent, you know, on the business end as you are in the artistic, or have somebody you really trust to do it for you.
Your why and the reason that you do what you do needs to be so solid and secure that no matter what happens, no matter what direction you get pulled, no matter what gets thrown at you, your foundation is so strong that you cannot be moved from that place. And a lot of people are so back and forth and this and that, and they're not able to really lock in on what they want in their life. And a lot of people see me do, I do, like me and Pooch do so many things. We can offer so many things to different clients. But the reason that we're able to do that is because our foundation is so strong that we can stand up on 2 feet, and no matter what natural disaster comes towards us, we're still standing on our 2 feet.
What's a famous saying or something? I forget who said it. Somebody very famous from the old days and stuff. It's just when you have a purpose, the obstacles that most people run into move out of your way.
Hmm.
It's just you're going to go right through those because a lot of times obstacles are in the brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. But people knocking other people. I mean, first of all, the simplest straight ahead thing is whatever anybody thinks about you, your opinion, your art is an opinion. That's all it is, folks. Everything,
Yeah.
almost
And
everything in life is an opinion.
yeah, and not everything is for everyone. You know what I mean? So
Right.
uh, you have
Yeah,
to
you
you have
gotta
to be able to pick.
yeah, pick what's right for you. Yeah, you brought that
Hmm.
up and hit me right away. Yeah, I mean, so many people are upset in life because maybe their father wanted them to be this, or their boyfriend wanted them to be this, or this or that. You got to pick what's best for you.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
you got to live with yourself 24 hours a day. People don't think about that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that you have choice over everything that you want to accomplish and everything that you want to do in your life is in your hands. And you don't need all this fancy equipment. I mean, so since we're in music, we're going to be talking about it from this perspective. You don't need all this fancy equipment, all these expensive tools and this and this and this to make good music. The best music is just made on an instrument, or the simplicity is key when it comes to this type of stuff. So it's like you can carry that through many different things in your life. But I've always found that the people that are jealous and that are trying to bring somebody else down really just make themselves look bad. Like, my mom always always used to say, when you point a finger at somebody, you're pointing 4 back at you or 3 back at you, because you know what I mean, the way you're pointing at them. You know what I mean?
Well,
So it's
it's
like,
not just that. It's like people judging you, and just like your mother did and stuff. When you're knocking somebody else down or whatever you're doing, your mind is not on you. Your mind is on them. You know, you're
100%.
thinking about them, or oh man, this person did this horrible thing to me. Well, and you, I say, you have 5 minutes to be upset, and now let's move forward, because otherwise your mind's on them. You know,
Yeah.
the revenge factor and things like
Yeah,
that.
most of the time it's really about people seeing other people doing things that they want to be doing. And I mean, this has even happened in my own life. Like, you know, I've seen many, many different people come and go throughout the industry, and that I used to be really good friends with. Some of them became really successful, some of them not so much, and some of them are now becoming successful doing their thing. So it's like you get to see all different perspectives, but you always got to just be happy for everybody else and and allow that to make you work harder. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see
Yeah,
my other
exactly.
friends' success as something that's bad and that's going to bring me down. Like, oh, I'm not at where they're at, so therefore I suck. I mean,
Well,
it's
they're
not.
thinking at that point, they're thinking of them and not you. And there's no reason they can't become successful and you become successful too. It's just
Yeah,
like,
there's room
uh,
for everybody.
yeah, I mean, oh my God. But you know, it's one thing I came up with a while ago. I don't know, it's exactly in my God Didn't Create Alarm Clocks book. But there is no such, everything's an opinion. There is no such thing as large or small, fat or thin, deep or wide, or whatever, unless you compare it to something else. The thing is that everything and everyone just is. Ah, yes, that's everything. You just is, you know. It's that simple. You think about it. There is, you know, how, all right, I'll give you a great example. We're here on Earth.
Hmm.
Okay, when we look up all the stars up in there, all of a sudden we feel kind of really small compared with the universe, okay?
Hmm.
And then you see this ant on the ground. To them, we're gigantic. And
Okay.
to us, man, they're really tiny. And then an atom or molecule looks up at the ant and says, wow, this ant is gigantic, you know? And the ant says, boy, I could hardly see them. They're so small. You know, you're comparing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
and that's the thing. That's the reason that social media, I believe, is like, that's the thing that is the worst thing that social media has to offer is that everything is glorified and glamified to make it look like it's perfect and everybody's life is perfect. I mean, it doesn't take rocket science to take a perfect angle picture where your hand is behind your head, or you're you know what I'm saying, all the girls popping
Perfect,
their booty out or whatever, like.
yeah, perfect is an opinion right there.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
there's so many people trying to be perfect that they don't get anything done because there's no such thing as perfect. So they're reaching for forever.
yeah. And the thing is too, like, there's a level of perfection that I reach for, but at the end of the day, I mean, I also know how things are supposed to sound, and then I don't nitpick and nitpick. I just when it feels right, that's it. You know what I mean? And you can't always be going
No,
for perfection.
and the thing is, because there is no such thing as perfection, you do
Yeah,
the best you can with what you have or what you want to sound like this or that in music or whatever. And I go by very simple things. When I get pooch bumps on my arms, I know I got a great mix. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I've had, I don't know if I mentioned on the show, but I've had, you know, engineer friends who I take their rough because their rough is a great mix, and then they'll try to tweak it and stuff, and then it loses that feeling. something gets like too perfect or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
I like an edge. Well, I'm a rocker, so I like, you know,
of course,
edge.
of course. And you're on the East Coast, so I mean, we like things a little grittier over here.
Yep.
You know, we're a little bit more aggressive in that.
Yeah, believe it or
And
not, different parts of the country have different things. That's why a lot of the Europe sound coming up even from the 60s, the 70s, whatever, when they talked about people that they loved and stuff, there weren't people from the West Coast because to them, the productions, everything was too pretty,
yeah,
too, you know, fake or whatever. They like the rough sounds, whether, you know, but it's all pretty much East, you know, and a lot of people on the East Coast who were very big in the day and stuff, they went to Europe because to the Europeans, these people are real big stars, you know, because they had that rough edge and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting. I mean, growing up over here, I mean, we don't realize how aggressive things are until you go get a different perspective. And I mean, that's the whole point right there, is that everybody on earth is just here, and you know what I mean. And everything on social media and all this stuff makes it seem like everything has to be perfect and being different is bad. But at the end of the day, everybody is unique. Everybody's always searching for something. Like musically, everybody is always searching for their own sound. But if everybody just went and just did what they enjoyed and made something that they liked, they would realize that that is their sound themselves. You don't have to be anything else other than you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't want to, you know, like I see so many people imitating other people because they like them, and I understand that. And I say to them, but there already is a Mick Jagger. There already is, you know, Billie Eilish. There are, you know, who are you? Everybody's unique.
Yeah, nowadays it's been easier. I'm gonna be honest. It may nowadays when it comes to production, it's easy to not have your own sound. It's easy to go online, get a loop from
Oh,
splice.com or any royalty-free sample and just put it in there and put the drums over top and start singing. But that's not who you are. Who you are is sitting down at an instrument and just strumming one chord and just start singing something or whatever you're trying to do as an artist, producer, DJ, it doesn't matter. Like you just need to let your ideas out. Like
and record them
it's
and record them. Keep the recorder on.
yes.
Keep some kind
Yeah,
of a recorder on. It's easy on a computer. Real cheap program. I set mine for 5 hours, and my microphone just picks up everything in the room. So I get ideas anytime. I won't forget them and stuff.
yeah. You know what's interesting actually? The I just compared two things. Like I created an analogy in my head, right? So like the equivalent of using samples and royalty-free loops and all this stuff online that are just repetitive 8 bar, 16 bar loops that just repeat throughout the whole time is the equivalent of a painter, an actual artist that paints with a pen, whether no matter what style, he goes to paint, but there's already an outline of everything. So he's just coloring in the lines. You know what I mean? It's
Filling
like,
in the numbers. He used to have artwork like that when I was
yeah,
growing. You
yeah,
just
number by number, you match the
number
paint
by
with the
number. You
number.
paint in the.
Yeah, like I mean, if you think about it, that's really what it is. And then everybody's sitting here like, "Oh, check out my music. I'm the best. I'm up next." And it's like, how are you up next when you're using somebody else's stencil or sketch, and then you just put some your paint over top of it? It's like doesn't make sense to me. So I find that a lot of the best music is just like even things like Timbaland. Timbaland's a huge producer where he just started going and beatboxing on his beats and doing weird things. Like he was outside the box, and that's something that people emulate till this day.
Oh yeah, I mean outside the box. I think outside the straitjacket.
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, and the thing is, what's always fun at night, because this happens to be at night. The middle of the night. I mean, we're recording at 12:30 in the morning, but after this, it's still part of my work schedule evening. I go down, make a smoothie, and I put on one of these big hit stations and stuff that from the past. Okay. And it's like a game. After 3 notes, can I name the song and the artist? And a lot of times you can because they
yeah,
have their own sound. You know it's the Stones. You know Quincy Jones with Michael. Yeah, I mean you just know these things like that. Billie Eilish is going to work in that way. She's got her sound and stuff like that. Uh,
yeah,
Muse, I could tell Muse immediately. There's just they have a sound that makes them stand out. There already is, but
Yeah.
even if you like Muse, you don't want to be Muse. You want to be who you are and just let it go.
Yeah, and the thing that is important to remind everybody, for people that aren't like technical in music theory, I mean, every song you've ever heard in your whole life has used the 12 notes that we have available. You know what I'm saying? We have 12 notes, and every single song in the history of the world is a combination of those notes.
Yep, it's
So,
see, yeah, it just the black keys and the white keys.
mhm.
They end up. That's all there is. That's
Yeah,
all the
and
notes are.
the one cool thing that I can give everybody as a tip of advice right now from when I was started taking lessons in songwriting, like I went and learned like my teacher was he tried to demystify everything for me so that like I could understand how people were how people made one hit wonders and were never able to make another song again because they stumbled upon this theory. But at the end of the day, because every song in the history of mankind has been written on those 12 notes, I find that a lot of people limit themselves because as soon as they start playing something, they're like, no, 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 it sounds like this. No, no, it sounds like that. It's like you have to understand everything that you're going to play is going to sound like something. You just got to stick with it and make it and own that shit and make it you.
Yeah, I mean, McCartney, I think, says, you steal every song. You don't. But if you think about it, every song in the world has been written before in somebody's shower, and just letting out the notes and stuff like that. I don't know. But you know why you can be unique with stuff is if you think about it, everybody, and you'll have yours, I'll have mine, everybody that's listening and stuff grew up during a time when they're really young, when they were introduced to certain kinds of music. And a lot of times it's what city you're in, it's what kind of schools you're at, whatever, your parents' taste in music, what you listen for. And you're really the sum of all these different sounds. And you might have certain ones you really latched onto. And it's just that way. I mean, God, I could think of so many diverse styles that affected my writing, I'm sure, in some way. And well, of course, I'm talking about a different era with me, but I'm sure in your household too, that, you heard certain types of music. And when you went to school, your friends were playing certain kinds of music. The radio is playing certain kinds of music.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that you are able to use all those influences that you've listened to and admired your whole life, like and steal some of those things from that. But I mean, when I say steal, I mean
No,
don't
you're not
you know
stealing.
you're not stealing. You go. But when I say steal, I mean like emulate what they got. Take that vibe that they had and make it your own. Like there's a lot of things that like, for instance, killing me softly, right?
Oh yeah.
Killing Me Softly. I forget who's the original singer,
The
but
original
like,
was Roberta Flack.
okay, so Roberta Flack, right? She was the one. I'm like 90% positive she wrote the song, but she wrote the
Oh,
song
she
about
did.
going.
Right.
She wrote the song about going to see Don McLean, who wrote American Pie,
Yeah.
perform live, and it was like that observation was that song, and it was a hit song. It was just, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Other things influence other things.
But it became a big hit with the rock band too. About
Yeah.
20 years later, was it UB40? I forget names or
Yeah, there
all.
was a couple different groups. I know that a couple different groups did it. Honestly, I
Yeah, but
forget the.
we're all, the way we're raised, things. It's funny like that, which brings up a weird point actually. That's interesting. Is that this is one of the biggest things about being a new, with the virus, it's even worse. But you want to play for your fans and gain fans. But most places that will pay you are bars and clubs. Now, in the bars and clubs, people usually have to be 21 years of age. And the problem is, by the age of 21, the people, most of the people who are listening and stuff to music and stuff already have their favorites from when they grew up. It's the teenage thing,
Yeah.
where they grow up. And that's who you're influenced by. I'm sorry, folks, and your tweens and teens, that's gonna stay with you. That's kind of music. So it really hurts young musicians who really need that crowd to be able to attract that crowd. And the problem attached to that is the bars and clubs aren't going to they usually can't let in people under 21. And the people that would want to put on this stuff can't make enough money from it to do the promotion and put on the show, et cetera, sound, whatever. It's a conundrum, where it's a real problem of how to get people. They need more all-age venues and stuff. But right now, you can't even use any kind of venue, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's tough, but I mean, the moral of the story, being unique is not as difficult as you think it is. All you have to do is be yourself and not care what anybody thinks, and don't put other people down or get jealous, because all that does is just attract that more towards you. So you just need to stick to your guns and say, hey, listen, just because nobody understands what I'm trying to do doesn't mean that what I'm doing is wrong necessarily.
No, well, if you think about it, like to sum it up in a weird way, is that you're being you and they're watching you instead of trying to become better themselves. You know what I'm saying? You're doing something about it. They're watching you. It's like, people could keep working at things, even in the virus, keep working at things, or just sit back and watch everybody pass them by. Where do you want to go? Remember, everything's an opinion. And people know nothing. I don't care if somebody knocks me or anything. I don't care. I don't expect everybody to like me. We're all, if everybody liked everybody else, the world would be kind of boring because everybody would be the same.
Exactly. And then it's always the people that dare to be different, that make that change and change culture. I'm saying, like, you could make music out here and get millions of streams and make all this money, but like, are you actually going to be remembered 20, 30 years from now? Yeah, you may have a hit single now, but is that hit single, does it resonate with people, or is it just something people are just going to nod their head to when they're in the club? You have to really think about that.
Yeah, well, that's why I always say, uniqueness is important, but it's still got to be marketable. It's still got to be something that people can latch on to. And I keep telling people, even with any kinds of songs and sounds, I want to be hearing it 3 days from now. Then I know it's a good song. Like right now, believe it or not, the song I can't get out of my head, and it's been weeks and weeks and weeks. Miley Cyrus put out a song called High.
Mm-hmm.
And the hook in that thing, I hear it all day long in my head. It's such an amazing hook. And the interesting part is because Miley Cyrus, the country's done it, she's a rocker. Her voice so perfectly, it's a rough kind of voice, perfectly fits the song. A song should stay with you, until you keep hearing it long gone. Picture this: you're a record exec, A&R, whatever, in the record companies. Listen to 50 songs in a day. Now, what song is going to stand out at them later in the night? What is going to, they can't get out of their head or something. One of the keys I found out that really does it, of course, you need a great groove, okay? But also, and it fits my songs because it's just the way I like them, is they're haunting, something that grabs you. And the trick to being haunting is funny. The simpler the song is, the easier to be haunting. Those spaces are important too.
Yeah, and that's it. With something even Mozart said is that the music is not the notes that are chosen, but the silence in between, which I never understood for a while until I started to get into pop music, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of space. Like I can hear each line in the hook, and I can remember it. You know what I mean? I have this space to remember. It's not just
Oh,
it's
when
like,
you're
wow.
that fast, after a while, the simpler you are, the more rhythm you can have. The more spaces, that's what, you can't have rhythm without spaces. And it's like drummers, what happens, or usually drummers, it could be guitar players, I've seen this too, where they're playing so much, by 2/3 of the way through the song, of them just keep constantly playing, the listener, the audience tunes out. because the way the brain works, it just loses its power. But if you go, you know, you're grabbing their attention. You
Yeah,
know,
you're
you
doing.
need those spaces.
Yeah, exactly. And being able to choose what rhythm, like, I mean, you can always just go with the metronome and be like, you know what I'm saying? You nod in your head and you're like, wow, this is great. But being able to challenge that, and there's a lot of great musicians that really just push the boundary with that. But you almost have to be like haunting, but also like catch them off guard, like,
Well, yeah,
whoa, I never would have thought that would have worked together.
no, they do work. And the thing is, you can't, as long as they don't lose the mood. Now, I use more chords than most people do because I write in a European rock style. Even if it's a rock, it's still going to have more than 2 or 3 chords. But what I want to bring up that's been coming up a lot from my clients, and you've seen it all over the place, is the use of featured artists. Now, featured artists, and the thing is, I look at it from both ways because some of my artists, my clients, uh, are featured artists on somebody else's thing, or some of the artists want to have somebody else be a featured artist on their thing. And it gets into all kinds of situations. See, I usually do it in a package where I write contracts, but it's somebody else in the studio. But, musicians, you hired a musician, you hired a singer, whatever. You're hiring a featured artist and stuff. Now, the importance of this, or let's take it from one direction at a time. My artist says, well, hey, I want to get paid for this. And the thing is, what a lot of times that I see with featured artists, it's not just the studio time, they're also writing their piece. It could be a hook, it could be a bridge, it might be a rap, it might be a hook, singing kind of hook, whatever it is. They're doing all kinds of things. That takes you into writing and publishing besides that. But what I try to tell people with featured artists also is, let's say my artist uh, wanted to hire a featured artist. And I'll hear things like sometimes, oh, my friend just did it for me, kind of stuff, like for nothing. Now, another option is they paid the featured artist. Another option is they traded favors with it. I'll be on yours, you get whatever it is. No matter what, if you're the artist that's hiring, quote unquote, the featured artist, you have to have a written agreement with them. And what people don't understand is they say, well, I didn't pay them anything. That doesn't matter. You are giving them uh, the artist is coming onto your recording. They're doing something, even if it's for free. You don't want them to say 2 weeks down the road, oh, I can tell you horror stories. You don't want them to say 2 weeks down the road, I don't like the way I sound. Take me off your recording. or
Yeah.
and who owns the recording? No, you can't put it up on the internet for your friends. The country, even if it's for nothing, and you want the right to use their name or image likeness. You always hear image or likeness, the name or something. Well, so and so appeared as a featured artist. Well, if I like the person, what the ending is, I want my name up there as as a featured artist on the song and stuff like that.
Yeah, and nowadays I've been seeing a lot of people do not just a feature artist. It's almost like artist X artist. So they're like collabing together on the name. So it's not just like, because sometimes it gets a little hairy when it's like, oh, you're working with somebody else. You don't know whether to put them on the song or put them as a feature. And I mean, some people get offended by that.
Well, no, no. Actually, I'm working on an exact situation like that right now. And I know of several, but I'm working on an exact one where the person actually is a harmonica player and he writes songs, but he's not going to do it himself. He wants a different person on each song to be like the featured artist, and they would be doing maybe the singing and maybe this or guitar and stuff like that. And doing a whole album of different people and different songs. Like, oh, this person would be good there. And nowadays with technology, you don't have to be in the same place to record. I mean, so many times, they just send the track. Hey, I just found one of my clients. The guitar player played most of the instruments, but wanted this drummer who was 12 states away to do it. So the drummer took the track, into the studio, added it, to a separate track, and gave him a WAV file of it, and they mixed it together. And all these kinds of things come up. By the way, before I forget, with the featured artist, the songwriter publishing is very important, stuff like that. Yeah, I think we pretty much covered it. But the idea is you need to have everything on paper before they walk in the studio, and my client was really worried. Well, I don't want them, what are they going to do with my song? Am I paying them? What am I doing? It just has to be by contract, no matter how you're doing it. And that's simple. You got to do it. It's just the way it is. You got to protect your ass. It's better to spend a few bucks now than have to spend a lot of money to get out of a mess.
Yeah, and if you don't feel comfortable approaching that person, then you can have like your attorney reach out to them and say, hey, listen, we just wanted to just talk to your legal team, or you set them up with whoever is in charge of them, or if it's just them, then you have somebody else speak for you so that the contract can get done and they don't get mad at you directly.
Well, what I've done in several situations also, if they didn't want to pay them cash and stuff like that, or this or that, is to do a split. Now, in this case, if one person's playing 3 instruments and the other person's playing 1, okay, that person gets a quarter of the split of the royalties for the artist royalties. You could do that. That's the easy way, and I have an artist right now. It's about to put out some stuff. It's really good. But the thing is that he wrote the songs and he had this well-known artist record them, and they did it together, and they have like a combination thing. But this is a featured artist, in fact, doing all the singing and playing all the instruments. This guy wrote the lyrics. There's all kinds of ways of working things. People, use your imagination,
Exactly. I mean, I feel that we definitely covered a lot today. But the moral of the story here is, don't be afraid. You know what I mean? Don't let somebody else's skill set or whatever offend you or make you jealous or envious. I mean, there's so many things that people don't realize that they have. They're always looking at the shit that they don't have. So you just have to be confident in yourself and just understand that at the end of the day, you can accomplish everything that you want, but it's on your time. And if you're not assertive with what you want in this world, then you'll never be able to actually get it. You'll never have the right energy for it.
Can't argue with that. All right, I'll just simply right here say, tune in for the next episode, folks. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. Tune in for the next episode.